was a lot of pain, man. It sucked when it actually happened. I obviously been dealing with some ankle injuries this whole season, and when it happened, like my first reaction was like, man, my ankle gone. Then my adrenaline kicked in. I ran off the field, and then I sat for a while and got stiff. I was just going through a lot of pain, man. So then I just made up in my mind. I came in at halftime. I texted my wife. I was like, bro, like, this shit hurt. Like, did an ankle massage tonight. She was like, you better get your ass back in that game, dog. I was like, all right. So I just made up my mind that it's going to hurt. It's going to suck tonight and tomorrow morning.
That was Tyreek Hill after the Dolphins game on his ankle injury. Riveting stuff from Tyreek Hill, as always. In all seriousness, Matthew, huge injury with fantasy implications. Yeah. And came back really late. He was out for a long time. Obviously not fully effective, wasn't on the field for the final drive of the game. And we talked about it in waivers. Cedric Wilson kind of becomes a little bit of a thing here if Tyreek Hill is down for any notable games going forward.
Yeah, specific to that, I mean, Tua looked for him. Like Cedric Wilson, I thought, made some nice catches. We've seen Cedric Wilson over the years, have moments with the Cowboys and then hasn't done much since he came over to the Dolphins. Hasn't really had an opportunity here, but
Barrios plays over him.
Yeah, I mean, but feels like a little bit of a one-for-one if Tyreek, not that he's going to be Tyreek, but you do want a piece of that offense, at least on most days. The crazy part of here is that he was playing basically on one ankle. He missed the majority of this game, and he still finished 4 for 61. That's what's so stupid. Like, it's just like, he's just ridiculous as well. Look, we just have to remain and wait and see, but I think it was a weird thing, right? Because, like, he's clearly less than 100%, but he didn't get taped up. He didn't get wrapped.
Got taped and then untaped.
Right.
Yeah. And then helmet off next to McDaniel. He's not out there at the start of the half. Right. He comes late into the half, and then he comes into the game and makes some big plays. He gets some text
from his wife.
Yeah, apparently a lot of texting with the wife.
Right.
Motivated him to play.
Out there, yeah.
Right. Just a whole lot going on.
I just don't understand what the hell the injury is. Like, how do you sprint off the field after you do it? He looks 100% when he's out there, but he wasn't there to start the final drive, and then he comes in late. He's been dealing with this ankle thing on and off, as he says.
Yes, he has.
He's become, and I know you hate your basketball references, Matthew, but he's like Anthony Davis now, where it's like he goes to the locker room, he gets half hurt every single game, but he's always just kind of fine. But I don't know what this mechanic is. I don't understand the injury. I don't understand the usage. But I mean, he was fine when he was out there, and so I guess that he's probably just going to be fine going forward, but short week, we'll see.
Right, and by the way, they play the Jets.
Right.
Now, in a normal situation, it doesn't matter who he's playing because he's Tyreek Hill. But, if he's less than 100% and now he's got to face DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner, like, that's not ideal. Now, again, we've seen them face before. Tyreek Hill was fine.
Yeah.
But it's just not out of the woods yet, so we remain in hope and hope he's okay. But this is one of those things that we were talking about this on the call before the show, right? Which is just basically like anything wouldn't shock me. If we got a notification, Tyreek Hill's fine, he's active, and he goes, 6 for 102 touchdowns, wouldn't shock me. Or he completely ruptured his ankle and he's done for the nothing would surprise me that we learn in the next couple of days about Tyreek Hill here.
Yeah, and the thing is too is that you might think give him an extra week with the Jets, but I mean they could lose this game to the Jets. They're only 8.5-point favorites. The line's come down from 12.5 before the Dolphins lost. And then after that, the way the Dolphins they finish their season, it's Dallas, Baltimore, Buffalo. If they lose this game, they are no lock to make the playoffs even. And then Tyreek Hill has the entire offseason to rest because he won't be doing anything in January. So they really need to win this game. And so I suspect if he is able to go, and the way he was talking about it, he's like, it's going to hurt tonight, it's going to hurt tomorrow. Feels like this is just something that he's dealt with all season. So I would guess that he's probably going to go, but who knows? Because I don't know what this injury is.
But certainly in a win and get in week in fantasy, for many fantasy managers out there, week 14 was I need to win to get into the playoffs, and you've been riding Tyreek Hill all season long. Tough week for this to happen. Again, 4 for 61 isn't a bad day at the office, but it's not what you've been counting on from Tyreek Hill. And so the whole game offensively was kind of a disappointment, with the exception of Raheem Mostert, who gets
2 touchdowns.
All that and a bag of fantasy goodness, right? He's now had at least 20 touches in 3 of the past 4. He leads the NFL with 18 touchdowns this season. He's the new Jamal Williams, except he's like a lot better and faster.
Yeah.
But 18 touchdowns is just an unbelievable feat for Raheem Mostert. and we've still got 4 weeks to go. That's the crazy part. 18 touchdowns with 4 weeks to go for Raheem Mostert. Raheem the Dream, friend of the podcast, friend of the show. Hasn't been really involved in the passing attack, but he was the runner we wanted, not Devon Achane. But
No.
Go ahead.
To be fair, Achane was inches away from what would have been like an
Yes.
80-yard touchdown
Correct.
pass. That he was right there. He beat his man. They just didn't hook up for it. So if he just catches that, it looks a lot different.
He still ends the week as running back 24. Not what you hoped for, but certainly usable as well. 7 for 47. He also catches 5 balls for 24. They're using him more in the passing game as well. He was targeted on 41% of the routes he ran last night against the Titans. So, I think, look, Mostert and Achane are obviously must-starts every single week, and especially if Tyreek Hill is going to be out or miss any kind of time, they'd lean on him even more. But, yeah, good day at the office for Raheem Mostert, who literally dragged people into fantasy playoffs and in one league kept me out.
On the Titans side of things, huge upset for them, led by Will Levis, led by their backfield, and, of course, DeAndre Hopkins. Matthew, we'll start with the backfield. Derrick Henry kind of plows into the end zone twice, but I think it was Tajay Spears in the passing game that was the storyline of this backfield.
Unbelievable. And it's super weird because, again, Tajay Spears was the better runner. We'll talk about the passing in a second, but you see it there, 17 for 29 on the ground for Tajay Spears versus 17 for 34 on the ground for Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry gets you the 2 rushing touchdowns, so he bails you out with that. But the truth is that, he just looks slow. Derrick Henry did, and wasn't able to get any separation. There's more wiggle, more burst to Tajay Spears. And one of the reasons why we like Tajay Spears, he was on my love list this week as others receiving votes. We talked him up in the preview yesterday. Look, they were doubled. They were 14-point underdogs, basically. 2 touchdown underdogs in this game. We figured they're going to be down. Tajay Spears is the passing down back. They'll be throwing a lot in catch-up mode. Now, ended up not happening until the final 4 minutes.
It happened.
But that last drive, those basically 2 last drives made Tajay Spears' night as well. So he's now had 6 targets in back-to-back games, an 18% target share in both games, goes ultimately 6 for 89 on this day, and they play Houston next week, which is not a scary matchup for Tajay Spears. Again, I think he's a viable flex with obviously massive RB1 upside if Henry were to miss any time.
Yep. I think the other story is just Will Levis, DeAndre Hopkins. Will Levis, who'd never thrown for more than 262 yards in any of his first 6 starts, he goes for 327. And Connor and I were texting about this, Matthew, the thread that you're not a part of.
Right.
It's just the abandon that he has physically, the way he plays the game. I mean, it's kind of reckless and it's a little bit scary the way that he just runs into dudes like he's Josh Allen. But he has to be the highest variance quarterback play to play. He can do anything on a given play. He can throw a pick 6 out in his own end zone, can throw the ball behind Derrick Henry, can also just hit lasers for 45 yards. He's
jump over people, run through people.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, I mean, not that he's Josh Allen, but he's a big dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I interviewed him and stood next to him, and I was looking up. You know what I mean? Again, I'm 6 foot, 200 pounds, and 198. I'm working on it. I'm getting there. But in the morning, I'm 198.
Yes.
By the end of the day, after I've eaten a couple bags of popcorn, it's I'm 2 bills. But Will Levis had me pretty easily.
He's jacked.
He's absolutely jacked. By the way, the pride of Madison, Connecticut, right here in our home state. So I'm a Will Levis fan, and so I'm thrilled for him. The other thing that's crazy about Will Levis is that again, he's so jacked and so powerful. There were a couple of times where just because of the way the rush went, he was throwing flat-footed. He doesn't need to lean into throws. He can just you know what I mean?
That's exactly what it looks like.
I mean, no, stop it. But my point is that screw you, Jay Connor. Yeah, Jay, my point is that a normal quarterback steps into the throw and throws. Yeah. And my point is Will Levis is strong. There were throws last night where he was like this, and it's
he's off platform.
It's like
Josh Allen.
It's all arm.
Yeah.
It's all arm and waist. There's no leg movement, and it was still zipping because he's literally got a laser for an arm.
Yep. And Hopkins going 7 for 124 on the touchdown, the big beneficiary. He's the only guy in that passing offense you want.
The Monday Night Football doubleheader was headlined by the young quarterbacks, Will Levis with the upset against the Dolphins, and of course, North Jersey's very own.
What a crazy comeback, though. Just very curious. I know we're supposed to get back up.
Poor Tommy DeVito. He's getting no time.
We'll talk. Believe me, we're going to talk plenty of Tommy DeVito. But what was the live line? I'm fascinated because I didn't look. What was the live line when the Dolphins were up 14? Right, or the 14 to 13.
With about 4:30 left.
Yeah.
So the live line was nothing because it got turned off because the game was effectively over, and so the books just turned the money line off. I would say that the true odds there are about 200 to 1. When you're a 14-point favorite at home, and the team is they struggled on offense really. It's Will Levis on the other side. Yeah, I would have said 200 to 1.
Right, with 5 minutes to go or whatever.
And also,
it was.
they won in regulation. They didn't even need overtime.
Crazy town. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.